Patrick Cook here. Thanks for coming back to the next session. We were talking about some of the additional features and capabilities in the Navigator. Now, the other thing I wanted to tell you about here is this little kind of hidden away feature right in here called HiQual and then a number, or high quality. Now, your Navigator intentionally renders out a lower resolution of your scene or your Mandelbulb fractal object as compared to the main, specifically so that you can use the Navigator to navigate, really. You know, I think of this as navigating through the scene. But you can increase the quality of this rendering here at the cost of course, CPU performance. It takes longer to render something that has more detail to it. All right, now let's take a look here. So if I have the HiQual checked on, I can actually use this up-down control and I can change the quality at which my navigation panel is rendered. Okay, now there's HiQual 7, which is the worst of the rendering. If I dial that back down, here's HiQual 1, which is the best rendering of it in the Navigator, in the Navigator preview. If I uncheck that, it defaults to what would normally be HiQual 1. Now, the use case for this is if I have if I'm on a CPU, I'm on a personal computer with a CPU that is a little slow, then I probably would want to say to the Mandelbulb3D software navigator, look, I don't need a really fast rendering. I trade the efficiency or the quickness of the rendering of, this is only now pertaining to the navigation preview. It's got nothing to do with the quality of your output image. That's over here on main. This is only your preview. And I say, look, you know, I don't really have a whole lot of CPU power, or I got the computer doing something else. So I just kind of want a rough-in of a lower quality of my Mandelbulb navigation preview. All right, and I can go all the way up here to 7. All right, now the PC that I'm on here is pretty robust. You know, it's an i9. It's got what, 16 cores or something like that. How many cores do I have here? Let's see. All right, let's see. Where do they put that? Oh, here it is, internal. Okay, yeah. So I am on a PC with 20 cores. So I've got plenty of horsepower here. But, you know, if I'm on my laptop and I've got, and it's an i7 with 4 cores, I may very well want this Navigator rendering to be of a lower quality, not quite that bad, maybe a 3. Because again, I'm only interested in I'm only interested in navigating the scene with the Navigator. Although admittedly, I will use the formula value panel to play with the formulas and see if I can get some good objects. And then I pull that back over, view to main, back over to the main, where now I can work on my coloring and my lighting, as well as my kind of my final structure. And as you know from previous sessions, I full well can go into these formulas and I can change them right here. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, I could change the formula right here, calculate 3D, all right, and render it. It's got nothing to do with the Navigator. But they have provided us with pretty neat feature over here where we can modify these formula values, and we can do it with adjustment, kind of like the fineness of the slider value changes can be modified with this set of radio buttons up here. So the Navigator is actually a very useful, and I have to admit it's a very well thought out set of capabilities that are typically surrounded by the navigation, which buttons, or the keyboard, or you can do the mouse move method. Also, some pretty good control over the properties of formulas as defined over on the main. All right, as well as some other features right in here that pertain to rendering quality. Now, I need to be careful that I don't get too deep into rendering yet, because there's going to come a point where we're going to want to really pay attention to the quality of the rendering. And so I don't want to go down there too soon, not too soon, because you do have these controls right here which are going to affect rendering, the ray tracing. But I will say this, without getting into an explanation for what these are, since we have a couple more minutes left on this session, I'll tell you basically what this panel is doing. All right, take this R bailout. All right, you notice here, let's get off that. You notice here it's 1024. If I change that to 111.95, all right, and then when I can do one of two things. I can send the whole view back to main, or I can send just the value, or these values actually, back to main. Now, let me go find the R bailout value over on the main window. Let's see, where did they put that? All right, okay, here it is. Okay, so I'm on the Formula tab. Let me move this so you can see it better. Actually, I think I want to move the Navigator like that. So here's my Formulas tab right here. There is the R bailout. All right, now I don't want to get into a discussion of what that R bailout is yet. All I want to do is I want to show you what this miscellaneous panel is doing. So 1024, and now here I changed it to 111.95. I'm going to send the value, boom, and there, I sent it over to here. So all I did is I sent the value over to the formula panel of the main, and this is where it's going to have an impact. All you're doing is they're just giving you a convenient location to set it here. Now certainly it's going to impact your picture. Okay, so that's going to be enough for this session. Got a couple more things I want to show you. When we get back to the next session, we'll pick it up, and I'll show you a couple other things about this miscellaneous panel. Then we'll move on. I'll see you in the next session.